Let's go to the next topic, which is Azure networking. So this is very, very important to understand Azure networking. So when it comes to Azure networking, we have three important concepts. One is Azure Virtual Network. It is a fundamental building blocks in Microsoft Azure, allows you to create their own private network in Azure. It provides a way to secure connect Azure resources each other or to on-premises. So Azure Virtual Network is nothing but your own network in the Microsoft data center. Okay. So then comes Azure Subnet. So Subnet, it is a subdivision of Microsoft Azure Virtual Network. So I will explain this in detail in a whiteboard. And then we have a Azure Network Security Group, which is nothing but a kind of firewall, which is gets it will check your incoming and outgoing traffic on the subnet level or on the VM level. Okay, so in order to explain this in detail, we'll go to the whiteboard. Do you have Azure architecture diagram, all components aligned to talk with the DaaS for clear? Yeah, we'll come to that. So now, as I told you, we have cleared the concept of tenant. Now I have a tenant, then I have a subscription. This is my subscription. Okay. If you want, you can create a management group to manage this, but for simplicity, I'm not including management group now. So once you have your subscription, right? Inside this, you wanted to create your virtual machines. For example, you wanted to build your web server, or you wanted to build your database, or you wanted to build your Citrix DaaS servers. Okay, so not Citrix servers. For example, your cloud connector, or if you wanted to build your storefront, or if you wanted to build your gateway, etc. Right? So in order to create this, you should have a network. Okay, because otherwise, if you do not have a network, you cannot talk to each other, or you cannot talk to your Citrix cloud or Microsoft cloud, etc. Sorry, cannot talk to any other services, right? So for that, you need to have something called Azure Virtual Network. Okay, so inside your subscription, what you will do, you will create a VNet, which is called Virtual Network. Okay, VNet, it is a boundary you are creating in your Azure subscription in order to deploy your workloads, which requires communication. Okay. So now when you are creating a VNet, right, you need to define the range. What what is the network segment I need? For example, in this case, I will say that 10.0.0.0 slash 24. Okay. So this is the address. This is called address space. Okay. So this is compulsory when you are creating a VNet. So you should have an address space. So saying that I need slash 24. So what is the meaning of slash 24? So if you use this slash 24, right, you will get 254 IP address. Okay. If you wanted to calculate it, there is a simple formula which is 2 to the power n minus 1. Okay. Where n is equal to, this is the standard number 32. You have to do the minus of 24. So which is 2 to the power 8, right? So 2 to the power 8 means 256. So now we got the n, which is 256. So now is 256 minus 1, 255. So sorry. So you'll get 255 IP address. So if you wanted to deploy a VDA workload for 200 VDIs or 200 users, then you have to choose this subnet, which is slash 24. Okay. I'm not going much details on the networking. I hope all you know what is IP address, what is IP address range, space, what is private IP address, class 1, class A, class B, etc. I'm not going in details. I'm just telling how to plan the virtual network range for you. Okay. For example, if you have a requirement to create 500 VDAs, then what you have to do, you need to, if you have to create a 500 VDAs, what you have to do, you need to have 500 IPs, right? So in order to get 500 IPs, what you have to do, you need to go with slash 23. Okay, slash 23 means that again 2 to the power n minus 1. So I'm going to calculate n now. N is equal to 32 minus this number. Okay, 23. So which means I think 9, right? So n is equal to 9. So 2 to the power 9 minus 1, which means 512 minus 1. So you'll get 511 IP address. Similarly, if you wanted to deploy 1000 VDAs, you need to take /22, which will give you 1023 IP address. So the list goes on. Okay. So I hope now you got how to select the ranges. Okay. Do not select /22 if you wanted to deploy only 100 VMs, because although it will work, but you are going to waste so many IP address. Okay. Always choose the nearest one which is applicable to you. So now coming back to our VNet concept. So now in Azure, I'll create a VNet. Okay. So now under VNet, as I told you, I wanted to deploy, let's say 100 VMs, or so let's say 200 VMs. Okay. So as I told you, I'll take -00/24, right? So this is the address space I will choose. Now my requirement is, although I need 200 VDAs, okay, I need it for different department. For example, let's say I have a department called call center, and then I have a department called operations. Then I have a department called compliance. Okay, so I wanted to create, let's say I wanted to create 100 VMs here. I wanted to create 50 VMs here, and then I wanted to create another 20 here. Okay, 20, or let's say another 50 only to make it 200. Now I have this entire subnet, and the requirement is I need three department using a three different VDAs. I don't want to use the same network for all. So I need to do the segmentation now. Okay. Because for CC call center, I need 100 IPs. For my operations, I need 50 IPs. And for my compliance, I need 50 IPs. So, however, the range I'm having, this is the range, right? So I have to divide this 200 IPs like 100, 50, 50. Okay. So dividing the bigger chunk into smaller chunk, which is called subnetting. So if you go back to my statement, a subdivision of an Azure virtual network. So subnet allows you to segment a VNet into smaller logical section, each of which can host resources like virtual machine, database, and some other services. Okay, I hope you're clear about the subnet. So now let's see how to divide. That is the next topic. So now, for example, as I told you, 10.0.0.0/24. The starting IP will be 10.0.0.1 till 10.0.0.255, right? This is the last address I told. Now I wanted to segment this into three chunks. One, first I need 100 IP, and then I need 50 for the operations, then I need 50 for the compliance. What I'll do, I'll take the first chunk, okay? I'll put it like this, 10.0.0.0/25, okay? So when I say 25, so my starting IP address will be 10.0.0.1 and ending IP will be 10.0.0.120, 127, I think. Okay. So how I got this, because you go back to the same formula, 2 to the power n minus 1. So here n is nothing but 32 minus 25, right? So 32 minus 25, how much it is? 7. 2 to the power 7. So 2 to the power 7 is nothing but 128. So 2 to the power n minus 1 means 127. So I will get the 127 IP address if I use /25. Again, please note, I'm dividing the main chunk into smaller chunk. So first what I will do, I will divide as 10.0.0/25. So that it will give me 127 IP address so that I can deploy my 100 VDAs. Okay. Now The next I need 50 IP address, right? So now what I will do, so till 10.0.0.127 I have already taken. So next I will what I'll do 10.0.0.128. I'll put /26 now. Okay. So what it will do, again, going back to the same formula, 2 to the power n minus 1. So 32 minus 26, 6, right? So 2 to the power 6 minus 1. So what is 2 to the power 6? 64, right? So it will give you 63 IP address. Okay. So now I got the second chunk as well. So the starting end IP address will be 10.0.0.120. From it will start from 128 till for the next 63. Okay. So I don't know how much it will come. So for example, let's say 10.0.0. Maybe 192. I'm not sure. I think it is 192, I believe. Okay. So this is how you can segregate. For example, let's say I want another 50, right? So what I'll do 10.0.0. The next available one will be 192. Sorry, this will go till 191. So this will be 0.192 till 10.0.0.255, right? So now I did this segmentation. The subnet will come as 10.0.0.192/26 again. Okay. So when I use /26, I will get these IPs, these many IPs. Now, if you see, it reached 255, right? Because it is almost we completed everything now. So we divided and we almost used all the IPs. Okay. So now we cannot no more segment it. Okay. So this is how segmentation works. I hope you are clear with this concept. So if you wanted to segment it further, then you need to change this. So you need to make it 23. So in that case, if you do 23, you will get 512 IP address, and then you can still divide and you will get more IP. Like after 10, like once it reaches 255, right? Then the new segment will be like this 10.0.1.0 will come. Okay. So this is how it works. So I'm not going much details, not to confuse more. So the concept of Azure Virtual Network, first you need to create a VNet, which will have address space, main address space, as is /24. Then there is called something called subnetting, where you are dividing this into a smaller segment based on your requirements. Now you may have a question. For example, let's say I have a VNet. I don't want to use subnet. I want to use the /24 itself. Then yeah, by default the subnet will get created from the same /24. Okay. So that is also possible. So this is the concept of Azure subnetting. Now coming into NSG, Network Security Group. So we are running out of time. So I'll quickly explain what is NSG. So for example, let's say you have the VNet now. We have the subnet now, subnet 1 and subnet 2, for example. Then you will deploy your VMs, right? For example, here. So there is a traffic coming into your VM and there is a traffic going out of your VM, right? In order to control this, we deploy something called NSG. Okay. The moment you deploy NSG, all the incoming traffic, instead of hitting the VM first, it will go to the NSG. So NSG will check whether I have to allow or not. I have some rules in the NSG. So based on that, it will allow. So same goes with the outbound traffic also. First, it will go to the NSG, and then based on the rule, it will allow or deny. Okay. By default, NSG will not be there. So all the traffic will go directly. But for a security reason, always use NSG. So now there is two things here. So NSG, it is a set of rules, allow and deny rules. Okay. Now, either you can apply on the subnet level. So when you apply on the subnet level, all the VMs you deploy in this subnet, right, it will get that NSG. Also, if you don't want to apply on the subnet level, you can directly apply on the VM level also. Okay. So there is two things you need to keep it in mind. NSG can be applied on the subnet level, on the VM level.